Time to see what's on the radar, and we are back with Nate Thooft, CIO and Senior PM at Manulife Investment Management. And Nate, you've got the healthcare sector on your radar. It's an interesting sector for the last little while. What are you liking about it?
Well, there's a lot of things not to like about it, at least over historical terms,
I was being
right?
polite.
It's been an underperformer. But I think this is one of the reasons why it's getting more interesting. From a non-consensus perspective, this is a sector that's been really poor performer. And there's opportunities here, particularly from a valuation perspective, but also more from a secular perspective. Keep in mind, healthcare, we are in an environment where we have ongoing aging demographics. We have many needs for healthcare dynamics to evolve and change. And the fact that demand for healthcare is not going down, it's going up. And the cost of healthcare is going up across the globe. So there's a lot of needs to figure out solutions to that. And the companies themselves within the healthcare sector are one of the areas that can help with that. And so this unloved environment has created a true valuation opportunity. Right now, we have, as an example, healthcare now only makes up about 9% of the U.S. index. It used to be more than double that. So healthcare has really taken a second seat relative to tech plays, as an example. But when you look at the names in this area, they have some very decent earnings dynamics. Expectations for earnings look pretty good. Valuations, as I said, are pretty attractive. And believe it or not, despite them not benefiting from some of the AI trends out there, many of these companies within the healthcare sector actually do benefit from AI longer term. How? As an example, AI is used to speed the pace at which drugs are developed, as an example. There also, AI is a great use case for improving diagnostics and clinical diagnostics when it comes to recognizing the diseases, et cetera. So AI is actually going to be is a tool that healthcare companies can use to improve their own margins and the ability to grow their business. So we see some real secular opportunities here within the healthcare space over the course of the next 12 to 18 months.
With AI, any indicators on how much it could help companies, how much it could save them money-wise and things like that? Have we seen any numbers on that?
I think this is a very tricky question. It's a great question that everyone is asking, but I think it's a tricky question because we don't really know. AI is developing at such a pace and changing almost daily as it pertains to potential use cases and who's going to be the leaders, that it's really hard to know exactly what that pace of adoption will look like and who will be the ultimate real winners here. We definitely believe in AI as a secular story. And when you think about some of the linkages to this particular sector, I do think it's going to be on the idea of being able to develop drugs more quickly and test drugs more quickly. But also, as I said, when it comes to how we diagnose diseases or analyze aspects of DNA, et cetera, this is where AI is going to be a very powerful story. When we look at AI in a bigger term perspective, AI has the potential to impact global GDP growth rates in the neighborhood of 20% more. And so if you think about that applying to all sectors, that's a pretty powerful driver when you adopt AI for the potential for better outcomes and better growth dynamics, not only within a sector, but from a global GDP perspective. AI is an enhancement to what is currently low GDP growth rates around the globe.
Okay, and within the sector, are there subsectors you're paying more attention to that look better than others?
So the areas that we like the most are the ones that are going to help you in a more defensive way. We're all right now experiencing an environment where stocks seem to be defying the odds and keep going up, up, and up. We're advocating for people to introduce more defensiveness into portfolios to be prepared for the next downturn. I'm not saying that downturn is tomorrow, but this sector serves as a good place to park some dollars to dollar cost average into to offer some ballast into a portfolio. So particularly some of the more drug-oriented companies, as well as some of the companies that are providing tools and diagnostics from the sector into hospitals, et cetera. These are some of the areas that are safer in our view because there's always going to be demand for those instruments, tools, and those drugs when it comes to a recessionary or a non-recessionary environment.
Okay, and now you have some optimism. What might cause that to change to pessimism? What would be some of the concerns in this in this
The
sector?
concerns are the ones that have been in place for a while, and that is regulatory uncertainty, particularly when you look at payments coming from governments as an example. The U.S., I think, is a notable area because obviously we have a lot of debate right now about Medicare and the cost of healthcare in the United States, and the government is trying to change that, and that is hurting the perception and creating uncertainty for this particular sector. So that's probably the biggest overhang for this sector from a global perspective. And particularly in the United States. The other thing that I think is a challenge is investor appetite. Right now, this is still a very unloved, out of favor sector. And until we start to see a catalyst and some real investor interest, this might take second fiddle, as it has been for a while, in exchange for people wanting to own things like gold and tech and things like that, which have been the focus area for most investors around the globe.